at this moment of time, and I would like to share a couple of experiences around that. And yeah, I'm happy to be part of this session. Every time I keep driving towards my office in Navlur, I keep seeing St. Joseph College of Engineering at the right side near to Navlur, and of course it is also comes with certain pre-conceived notion about the college, right? You guys must have been watching in many of the social media websites and many of the some of the search engines. You know, the moment you type something about St. Joseph College, and it starts giving some preconceived notion, whether the college is number one or college is ranked as number two, or college related to the culture and discipline and etc., right? And it's all about clustering, categorizing, and giving you making you to come up with certain decision. So indirectly, all of that, whatever is doing, it's all about human's cognitive ability, human's ability to rationalize, human ability to synthesize, and human ability to reach to a certain decision. I'm 100% sure most of you guys, before taking a decision to join this college, you would have done your own research. So some of these websites and search engines are helping you to come to a particular decision. So indirectly, all of them, entire digital platform which is behind that is indirectly running some level of artificial intelligence algorithms. It could be narrow intelligence, it could be partly a general intelligence, but it's all about the intelligence what we are going to talk, which is going to be in our everyday life. So what I will do is, before we get into the deeper into the topic, I just wanted to narrate a small story team. This is more like all of you know, India is highly populated, and we are second most populous country in the world. Although we have area of only 1/5 as that of US. You all know that US is the largest economy in the world. Their GDP is 35 trillion. Sorry, GDP is around 22 trillion, but their population is only 35 billion. 35 billion. So, which is almost like 1/5 of India's population. Whereas from area perspective, if you really look at it, they have almost 6 times the area as that of India. And similarly, you look at the second, the largest economy in the world, which is China, and China enjoys the second largest GDP, worth around 16 trillion, whereas the population is 130. Obviously, number one, it's a more than 148 billion. But at the same time, if you look at their area, what they have, it's almost 6 times as that of India. So, when I look at all of that, right, compared to any other economies, we do have, all the composition of the classes. We do have high income group, we do have middle income group, and we do have ultra high income group, and we do have large part of the low income group. And maybe you all know, right? When I say low income group, I am referring to the family which is earning $1 a day. That is what we call it as a low income group. Typically we call it as a below poverty line. And you can see most of the laborers fall into that category. They just earn $1 and then leave, right? So most of this, like one of the family, mother, basically they just go for labor work, and they earn 100 rupees or 120 rupees or whatever it is, and then they just live for the day. So this mother has 3 children, and she just wanted to prepare some food. she's asking she has got three children. She's asking the first boy, who is an youngest boy, to get. She gives him 5 rupees and asks him to get a oil. And boys are boys, right? The young boys who are 5 year old or 6 year old, they're all joyful, and when they move around, they always love the nature, and they just don't go do a straight walk. They move around left, right, and do a lot of humming. I mean, I remember in my old days, in fact, I also used to do the same thing. I don't walk straight. I will start humming some song or watching around the street, some nice posters, etc., etc. Right? So yeah, this boy also does the same thing. Goes to a shop and buys the 5 rupee oil, and while coming back, unfortunately, we don't have completely predictable roads, right? During a rainy season, you do see a lot of potholes, and while singing, he just falls into the pothole and he falls down, and completely oil falls down completely. So when he goes to home, and then the mom will start asking, is with a lot of fear, he goes to the home, and he starts feeling very bad, saying, what the hell I did. Mom has asked me to get a oil for 5 rupees, and I couldn't bring even this 5 rupees. He starts crying. Will tell mom, I'm sorry mom, I couldn't even do this simple task of getting 5 rupee oil. And then not only he tells the mom, but also he cries at goes to his other brothers and starts crying, and he starts feeling bad. He'll start feeling, hey, I could do this simple task of getting 5 rupee oil, and I'm very bad, I don't know. I mean, basically he gets into that victim mindset, and not just uh, alone gets into the trap, and he starts feeling again and again. So it's, uh, what do you what you guys think of such trait, because all of us also uh, uh, would have experienced a similar type of tendency, or we wanted to do some task, but we couldn't perform the task what we planned. So some of us would have felt very bad at one stage, some of us would have felt different in another stage. But I just wanted to hear from you guys, what is the this characteristic. Okay, so you may want to just type it in a chat box. If I have an option to have a look at it, I would like to see how you are guessing the a trait or a characteristic of this particular boy. Okay, and then the mom is mom, because she is a taskmaster, and she has to prepare a food for all the kids, and she cannot simply wait, right? She basically called the second boy. The second boy is a slightly elder than the younger boy, and he tells him, hey, uh, he has seen this boy has seen that other person could not bring the oil, and he cried, and not only cried, he also went around and started telling how he couldn't bring it, right? So then this boy will say, mom, I will bring, let me do it. That's how he will take 5 rupees, and the same story continues. He will just go to the shop, he will buy a oil, he start playing, and suddenly some sound. We all, whenever the political meetings are happening, or whenever elections are happening, you all know, right? A lot of public address system, some song, something or the other happening, some distraction. So somehow this boy also falls onto the pothole, and the same story happens. But somehow this boy is able to lift hand little early, so entire oil did not spill, but at least half of the oil stays as is in the cup, and he comes home, and then he holds the oil and tells the mom, hey mom, see this, the other brother could not bring oil, whereas I am able to bring. And but however, mom, do you know what happened? I was coming, I fell down on the pothole. I was able to flat completely fell. My head about to hit on the road, but I was able to hold myself and get up, and then started holding the oil, and then came, see how good, how adventurous I am, I'm able to do all of this. And mom says, yeah, 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 you did a good job, excellent, at least nothing serious happened, I'm very happy. Yeah, I could see that there is a off oil, but however this is not sufficient for preparing a breakfast. Then what option she has? She'll just call the third boy, and then she will tell mom is mom, and she will tell him, hey, you've seen other two your brothers. They couldn't bring oil, but at least pay attention and make sure that you bring it so that I can quickly prepare the food. Then the boys are boys, irrespective of what age they are. So he also buys the oil and he starts humming, and but there is a little bit of distraction, and same pothole story happens, and this fellow also falls down, and uh, the same happens. Then he comes to home and he says, "Mom, I'm sorry, I could bring the small task what you gave me. I know you must be feeling bad, but how much time do I have to bring oil back? Maybe I will go get it. You don't have to give me anything." Then the mom will say, "Yeah, yeah, I have a time of another 1.5 hour. Earlier, I was thinking of preparing something, but now since it got delayed, so now I have a time to another few hours, something like 2 hours." That's what she says. Then this boy says, "Wow, 2 hours, which is good. So, mom, let me come back." And then he goes and he does a little bit of work and earns around 10 rupees. And out of that, 5 rupees he will spend for oil, and he will come to home and he will tell mom, "Hey, mom, here is the oil. And since we struggled a little bit, and I've just created a little more corpus, and this is another 5 rupees, which we can use for tomorrow." And then she was very happy, and he will also go and hug the rest of the brothers, and it's all happy family. So I just wanted to hear from you guys. By hearing this story, uh, what are the characteristics you think the younger boy has demonstrated, and then the little elder boy has demonstrated, and finally the eldest has demonstrated. So the team, there's nothing wrong or right. I just wanted the session to be a little more conversative. That is the reason, I'm just asking you guys to type something, what you guess. I'm just talking about the characteristics. Okay. I don't know whether the team, are you able to? Yeah. Yeah, Uday, go ahead.
Yeah, students, you can interact with the speaker so that it would be very interesting. Okay, you can unmute and interact. Otherwise, you can put whatever you have in your mind in the chat box. Think, I think they are keeping silent. Okay, you can go ahead.
Okay, okay, yeah, yeah. So the team, you're all young guys who are going to be the destiny for our nation, right? The reason I'm conversating, I'm trying to be interactive with you. We are now part of a global delivery or a global operations, or you know we are so integrated with the global organizations. So we have no option. I mean, earlier maybe we had an option. Let's say one of you are from Madurai to say that, hey, I will live in Madurai for next 10 generations. But we may not have such option right now because of the globalization. So it's very important that we keep interacting. That's more important. Uh, since I'm not hearing anything from you, maybe that's what. So the team, I just wanted you guys to do a wild guess. Doesn't matter. I just wanted to, understand how are we moving uh, ahead. Okay, so since I'm not hearing, maybe I will just come, guys. We can start. The youngest boy, typically the characteristic is called pessimistic. Pessimistic is more about the playing in a victim role, and then keep on harping on it, and which basically dissipates our energy because. We are this is all real life, right? There's nothing called a straight line. If it is a straight line, or if it can be solved using a simple formula, then uh, really speaking there is no difference between us and others, right? But we are unique. So uh, so the first boy who fell down and who started crying and who couldn't really console himself, right? That behavior we call it as a pessimistic behavior. So that's more called as a victim mindset. The second boy, you guys would have observed, right? The second boy, what did he do? He was very optimistic and he is always looking at half full. He's looking at the glass as a half full, and although something did not happen for an intended outcome, but he was able to demonstrate the positivity. So that is what we call as an optimist. That's what we call as an optimism, right? I mean, sometimes even in our exams, uh, I'm sure our professors must be saying, "Hey, you need to be an optimist. You cannot be pessimist. I mean, you cannot be feeling bad just because it didn't happen. We need to keep trying again and again, and we need to be slow and steady wins the race. That's how it is, right? So the second characteristic is called optimist. I mean, that's how the so far the whole world was living. Like example, the Britishers came, and prior to the Britishers, we had a Mughals ruling our country. When Mughals were ruling, and we basically felt a victim of our own situation, right? Similarly, when you look at the Britishers were ruling, and we were into the similar situation. So indirectly, we lived for a quite long time on a victim mindset. Then now we have got our own freedom and we got liberated. We have got our own constitution, and now we are ambitious and we have an aspirations and we want to make a difference, isn't it? So that's all about the optimism. That's all about the optimism, right? So optimist. The third character, what the eldest boy has done, is basically called a realist. A realist is the someone who will look at the situation and think in an unorthodox way, and rise to the occasion and to give a solution. And that is all about the realist. So today, team of friends, or all of you, today the world is all about realist, all about how do we make ourselves differentiated, how do we make sure that we are unique, how do we make sure that we are remarkable. So that is all about the third characteristics which we need to demonstrate. So that's about this small story which will basically say that how world is changing, how a technology is changing, how everything is changing. So what I will do, team, the next topic, basically The reason I was trying to tell about this story is studying an engineering in any discipline, whether it is electrical or mechanical, computer science, or any subject, any discipline. It is like just creating a fulfilling a pizza box, pizza base. You all know, right? None of us will eat a pizza base. We all will eat using some extensive and very lucrative topics. And someone who likes the chicken, he likes the chicken topic. Someone who likes the vegetarian, he likes the vegetarian topic. Someone who likes more capsicum, he need more of that, right? So indirectly, what we are doing is we are creating a base, and over and above that we are actually creating a the required topping, and the topping is the one which will help us to build a further career. So indirectly, the whole world, whatever we have learned so far becomes the monotonous over a period of time. And if we are talking about the same thing with everybody, it is more of a commodity. I mean, there's nothing unique. So always the world looks for uniqueness. Indirectly, the whole world looks for some shining objects. So as a part of our career, we always need to look at what is shining, how do we differentiate ourselves, how do we create some remarkable story within our career while we are studying, and also whatever you study, that need to create a stepping stone to build further career. That is the reason I just was trying to put a story and communicate why we need to be realist, and why we need to think in an unorthodox way, and create the remarkable story. I mean, that remarkable story, how do you create? All of us individually need to think, and what is our strength, what is our aspiration, what is our interest, and accordingly just walk in that line. The second topic I just wanted to second story I wanted to ask you guys, at least because the team, you're all the young guys, you're going to be the employees of, some of you will be employees, some of you will be joining some Indian based companies, some of you must be joining some MNCs, some of you could be entrepreneurs, starting some startups, right? So what I have been observing, being part of this global business, every time I keep getting a complaint from my customers. They say that, hey, Ramesh, whenever I interact with your India team, uh, when we have a conference call for an hour, then I have to say, hey, guys, are you there? And then, unless they probe, we will not answer. So, I mean, this is what one characteristic which is missing, So, this is a feedback I keep getting, So, all of you should take an opportunity to interact, and whenever you have an opportunity to discuss with any industrial SMEs, you should take that as an opportunity, and ask different questions. That's more important. And now what I will do is I'll just go to another quick 5 minute story. Uh, all of you would have read Mahabharat. Uh, did you all at least read or listen to the Mahabharat? Uh, I mean, you don't have to answer me right now, but I'm assuming that some of you would have seen some movies in Mahabharat. And entire in Mahabharat, in one of the episode is Yudhisthira Yaksha Prashna, right? Yudhisthira Yaksha Prashna. All of you know, right? The lake god is nothing but Yama, and when you go and try to drink water, it asks some questions, and it basically sucks the four of his brothers. And finally, Yudhishthira alone was there, and it will start asking the questions. And one of the question, what Yudhishthira has asked, it is considered to be wonder of the world, right? I mean, one of the question is the wonder of the world. Have you guys heard about that? Uh, Yaksha will ask this question to Yudhisthira. Hey, Yudhisthira, can you tell me which is the wonder of the world from a human perspective? all of you know, right? We don't know why we exist, but even if we ask our parents, none of us will tell us. But Britishers, what they've done a good thing is by ruling India for 400 years, they have unified us, and they also taught us one common language called English. Within that English, there are 26 letters A to Z. I like most B to B, C, D. These are three important letters. B starts with our birth, and D means anyhow we are not immortal. All of us will move one day. That's called D. What we have in between is a choice. The choice is what type of career we are choosing. Are we going to embrace some emerging technology like artificial intelligence or any other area? That's all about a choice, right? So, so these are the three letters, right? So related to these three letters, Eksha is asking a question to you, Yudhisthira. What is the wonder of the human? What is the most wonderful thing of the wonder of the human? That's a question. So have you guys heard about this question? And any of you want to share the answer? Friends, you just tell me whether you want to share, or I mean, you can say if you want to share. You can. I mean, you can say either yes, no. I mean, if you know, you can say yes. If you don't know this story, you can say no. If you know the story, but you don't know about this question explicitly, you can say no. And if you know the story, you know the question also, you can say yes. But if you don't know answer, you can say no. But if you know both of them, you should say yes. I know you guys are competing with Satyabama next to your campus, and I've been hearing Satyabama students speak more. Uday, you seem to be not teaching the students Mahabharat and some of our classical
No,
mythology.
no. No, actually, there is no story in our classroom, only a lecture based on technical topics.
Okay, okay,
So they're not interacting. That is the one problem. Huh?
okay. Yeah, yeah. No, that's fine. That is a see, friends. All of you, right? We are all studying to build our career. When I say career, obviously, if you have got an entrepreneurial skill, entrepreneurial spirit and skills, you will do a startup on your own, right? You will build an empire. You will also give a jobs to others. But if you don't have that, then ultimately you have to go and join a company. Am I right? When you join a company, they're going to come do an assessment of you. They will pre-screen your profile, and they will ask you some questions, and they will see your communication skill. They will see your realist aptitude. Of course, if you demonstrate, pessimistic behavior, they will just discard you in the first screening itself. If you show a little bit of an optimistic behavior, they may just shortlist you. But if you show a realistic behavior, they will offer you. So, in order to demonstrate the realistic behavior, you need to speak up, and you need to, interact. That's more and more important. You know, uh, so what I will do, team. Let me just go to my screen. Okay, team. What I will do is let me just show you guys a small. Okay, I'm not seeing any text message. I'm not. Nobody is volunteering to say about this question and answer of Yudhisthira. Uh, Basically, see, maybe I will tell you what the answer is. Okay, let me just go back to my. So, so this is a question, right? What, according to Yudhisthira, is the greatest wonder in the world? Uh, Uday, are you guys able to see the screen?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So the team, this is a basically the answer for this question is the human knows that he is not an immortal, but however, from the day of birth, we will never think that we will we will perish in one day. So that is what Yudhishthira replies to Yaksha, and Yaksha got excited because he says, "Yeah, that's the truth. Everyone knows that the death is ultimate truth, but he supposes that he will live forever, isn't it? Even a person who is on the deathbed, even a person who has completed 92 years or 100 years, when he's sick, what we do? We don't say, hey, he's 100 years, he's no longer fit for survival, right? We will 100% make an attempt, go to hospital and make every attempt in a reasonable way to make him survive. So that is what the wonder. After that, Eksha basically says, "Oh, I am excited. I am happy with all your answers. You are a great wisdom person, and you let me know what I can do for you." Then he will say that, "Hey, you sucked all my four brothers. Can you give me my four brothers?" So that's how Arjuna, Nakula, Sahadeva, and the other person, uh, Bhima, takes a life back again. That's a wonderful question. So the reason why I'm trying to share this is, uh, as a human, uh, common sense, right? Certain things are called most common, but sometimes it looks as if it uncommon. So that is where as a student and uh, it, it, uh, as an aspirant of career further career, we need to make sure that we don't get into the trap of uncommon. Okay, so so I mean our human personality, something is common sense, uh, it treats as if it's given. So it just puts it into subconscious mind, and it doesn't really pull it up again and again. So that we get into a trap. So when we get into a trap, we will not be able to imagine something big. We will not be able to really do something remarkable. So that is what is very important as a woman. So the let me just move on to the next. So, what is artificial intelligence? It's a relatively new branch of computer science that tries to build the smart machines to perform tasks which normally requires human intelligence. So that is nothing but we just discussed about the realistic behavior, and we have seen the pessimist. We have got optimist, and all of these behaviors. If you really look at the behavior, uh, we had a standard operating procedure where mom is giving a standard instruction, getting an oil, and she's giving a 5 rupee. We know that we have to go to shop and get an oil. So that is more of a standard instruction, right? And then when you fell down, you had certain tenants you exhibit. Those are all called uh, seriously and think out of the box. And if there is a path between A to B, if I am challenged, I have the ability to think in a different direction, in a different way. All of this is basically called as if you are getting them done through a machine, it is called an artificial intelligence, right? So within this artificial intelligence, you have different stages of artificial intelligence. Certain things are focused on only a specific task. We call it as a narrow artificial intelligence. Like example, uh, right now there's a lot of interaction, right? Let's say example, like Uday, he's reaching out to different uh, industry SMEs to ask them, are they willing to come on a WebEx and give you guys some topic, right? So if you look at, there is a multiple iterations of right from the context to end, you know. So if something is being done by a program with a limited task, not anything else, that is what we call as a narrow artificial intelligence. And in a real life, we are observing, right? When you do a Google, uh, all of you would have observed. If you put a question, then the Google in the first iteration, they may not give you a good number of search pages. But if you put the same question in a different context, then it immediately pulls. But sometimes, you know, if I am operating out of Tamil Nadu and it senses that, you know, I'm a Tamilian based on my Google profile, and it also senses that, you know, I understand Tamil very well. I love Tamil reading, and when you type, automatically it converts and it gives me a page on Tamil. uh, how is it giving? It's all about the page algorithm at the backend, and it also got some machine learning algorithm which is working, which is basically pulling my profile, understanding my search pages, and then throwing me a web page which aligns to my interest. So this is more like a, once again, a narrow artificial intelligence. I mean, all of us use the mobile phone. If I'm using an Apple phone, we have something called Siri, and Siri is once again like artificial intelligence, which we call it as an arrow. It has a specific purpose, and it does only up to that purpose. Similarly, there are some automation tools like Automation Anywhere, which is called robotic process automation. Most of the enterprises use these RPA tools in order to build certain specific tasks. Like example, just now I mentioned about arranging some WebEx session. What all it involves? It involves reaching out to SMEs, reaching out to their profile, and seeking their consent, and fixing some topic, etc., etc. Right? And all of this, can you automate? Yes, it can be automated. So further, you will use tools like Automation Anywhere, or UiPath, or Blue Prism. All of these are called narrow artificial intelligence. So yeah, as we move forward, I'll just we'll speak about more and more on that. We just discussed about the human intelligence, cerebral ability of the humans, as seen in a complex cognitive activities. That's what we have seen with the boy story, right? All three of them, they've got a complex cognitive activities, and it has got a certain patterns. You are able to conceptualize, reason, recognize the patterns, and solve the problems, decide in tough questions, you know, all of that. And yeah, initially we discussed about the emotions, we discussed about mammals, about, you know, how they demonstrate the pain and emotions. And there is a person called Alan Turing who started the initially he started a theatrical AI, and he basically said, why not we have these computers answer a specific scenarios and questions. You know, that's how the entire artificial intelligence started. In fact, I live in Santa Clara in Bay Area, and entire my credit history, and whenever I access, whenever I want to buy new credit card, whenever I want to subscribe to some financial uh, institution services. Uh, Basically, I don't need to do anything. I just need to go fill a form, entire thing online, first name, last name, just give your social security number. It's like Aadhaar, which is a completely interconnected system. And the moment you enter the social security number, then the next what it does is it takes me to an authentication system. And in the authentication system, it basically looks at, where am I living, and which store I went, what type of transaction I've done, and prior to this place, where did I live? And it basically asks some random 5 6 questions. And if I answer all these 5 questions, it basically takes it to the next level and submits a form, and the entire transaction is done. I don't need to even make a visit. Recently, I opened a savings bank account in Amex with Amex because they give a high saving yield of 0.5%, whereas the Bank of America or Wells Fargo or rest of the banks, they give just 0.01%. So that means if you save around $100,000 per month, they just give you $4 and they deduct $1.5 as a federal tax. I mean, that's how it is, right? So I was just doing a search and I wanted to do a little bit of high yield, and I didn't even make a visit to the bank, but I was able to open the account and complete the transaction. So that is nothing but, all that is possible just because the backend algorithm, which is helping to make things happen. So it is nothing but AI. It is nothing but artificial intelligence, which is basically tracking my pattern and processing my pattern and connecting with my answers and connecting with my social security number and authenticating and completing. So that's how it is. I mean, this is the same concept which Turing started, and it's way back in 1954, and it just continued, and that's how today where we are. I don't know how many of you are reading the news. I heard yesterday from a GST collection perspective, India earned highest GST collection in this month, right? In October, it's almost 130 lakh crores. You all know, right? Behind the GST system, there is a huge program which is being run by different IT vendors. They basically have a decision system and which keeps improving, keep increasing the compliance, and that's where the month on month government is able to collect more and more taxes. So all that is because of the technology and because of the energy and enthusiasm demonstrated by some of some of youngsters like you, who is basically working continuously, improving those algorithms and coming up with the new statistics and helping the government to re-energize. So that's one of the classic example. I could see because way back we started around 2 years back. You all know that government was collecting only 35,000 crores or 45,000 crores. But now over a period of 2 years, because of this artificial intelligence and machine learning algorithms, and government is able to improve their tax collection by almost so much and able to do a compliance also because everything is transparent, everything is technology adapted, and the citizens also know they have no option other than comply. So indirectly now more and more compliance is happening because of the technology, because of the algorithm. So yeah, I will basically. Why now? Suddenly, why we are talking about more and more about artificial intelligence, right? It's all because of three things. One, big data. All of us are using a mobile phones. All of us are using a social websites, and all of us are using now. All that big data is also possible just because there's a tremendous improvement in compute. Earlier, we were talking about maybe way back, when I started my career, I used to have 8088 processor, 8088 processor. It used to be 8-bit microprocessor. Then it went to 16-bit. It went to 32-bit. In that, right? I mean, that moment of time, I remember we used to have 640 KB RAM. And I started my career as hardware engineer. When I had, most of my calls used to be problems related to motherboard and related to memory. And whenever I used to go, I used to carry a toolbox with isopropyl alcohol and some screwdriver set. I remember way back, whenever there is a problem related to intermittent problem with the system, just open and with a vacuum, undust the entire motherboard and take out the memories, clean with isopropyl alcohol, push it back, and push it back so hard so that it tightly gets seated into the socket, and then power everything, and then computer is on. And in those days, when I go and do the same task, some professor or some head of the department, if it is an educational or if it is an healthcare, some doctor or everybody used to treat as if I'm a great computer doctor who have come to solve his problem, and they used to say good morning, good afternoon, and then they used to treat me like a guest, the great guest. They will offer coffee, they will offer breakfast, lunch, sort of all that, right? You used to have such a great treatment, but such a from that, today we have gone into such a huge compute. Now everything can be done. I mean, whatever earlier 15 years back a supercomputer used to do, that is possible with phone today, right? With iPhone 12 Pro, or you take 11 Pro, or any of the series, right? It is equivalent to a supercomputer. To that extent, the compute power has gone up. Because of that adoption of the technology, in every part of our life cycle has moved. Because of that, we have got a big data, and you have got a machine learning algorithm. We just discussed about the GST, how a machine learning algorithm is giving the wisdom to the government. Thereby, government is able to communicate a message saying that, hey, uh, uh, we could see that you have so much of income, but we don't see the declaration here. All of that indirectly, they're just preempting the citizens to go and comply with the system, right? So that's how it is. And one more is today, we require, all of you must be hearing, right? In China, when people are moving around, they just get the challan at home. No cop will stop them anywhere, but they get the challan at home just because the surveillance system on a continuous basis is capturing their faces, reading their faces, and with the machine learning algorithm, which is learning on a continuous basis, and based on the standard of procedure, telling the system either these are the people who are not complying with the compliance, and based on the deeper analysis, at the maximum, for so many people, they may just have one person who will basically do an authorization. That's all we are talking about, a human machine partnership. Human machine partnership is before you take a decision to either penalize or send a notice, you want to be sure that whatever you have decided, whatever the pre-concept you have built into the system is really certain, and that is where the human gets involved, and then he will either approve or he will basically give the feedback to the system, thereby the system learn and then recreate. So all of that is happening, right, at this moment of time. All of China has invested a lot of money in AI, and they are almost in the advanced stage. All of one more use case. We did surgical strike, right? All of when Pulwama attack happened, India had no option other than doing a preemptive surgical strike. I don't know whether you all recall, in those days, Sushma Swaraj made a statement saying that, hey, we have done the preemptive surgical strike. We went to against the Balakot, against the Pulwama attack, and we did a surgical strike at Balakot. And during the surgical strike, the defense has used the drones, and defense has used the customized algorithm, and defense has used satellite as well as the ground power multi-channel communication. All of that, right? In fact, they've used the one drone which will misguiding the opponent as if things are as usual. So I don't know how many of you have seen the movie. You should see movie. Otherwise, I will share the link. It's all nothing but artificial intelligence and backend end-to-end life cycle system, which is making us to achieve. So this is a more of a canonical architecture. You have sensors. I was just telling you. I'll give one example of sensor. All of you, if you are aspiring to study in US, I'm sure after your graduation, either you will prepare for either ACT or you will prepare for a SAT, right? SAT. So ACT is one of my customer. American College of Testing is one of my customer, and uh, uh, all of you know, right? To write an ACT system test, we have to go physically to one of the exam center and write all of them physically. But because of the COVID, because of the pandemic, now nobody is going to college, and everything is happening on digital, on a web. So the customer was asking, "Hey Ramesh, how do we make online happen?" Because they want to two things they wanted to achieve. One, uh, they every student when he's writing a test, he's paying some $45. They wanted to see how they can create a long-lasting relationship with the associate, in the sense giving some positive feedback, and thereby the student is able to use this feedback to benefit. So indirectly, what they want is they just don't want just to give the marks and say that, hey, in a scale of 50, you have achieved 30, you have achieved 20. Instead of that, they want to give a feedback. These are the topics you are not faring well, and you're not faring well because you wouldn't have slept properly, or you are under stress, or you are under whatever the situation. So they just want to give that feedback. So we walked the customer to our IoT lab in Seattle. Uh, all of you know, right? Internet of Things, nothing but now the sensors, aeroplanes, and the complex machinery. All of them have got IoTs built in. So these IoTs are sensors who are giving the information continuously, and at the back end, there is a central system which keeps collecting all this data, and then you develop a algorithm which basically synthesizes that information, and based on that synthesized information, you come up with some decision. So that is where there are three models. One is called reactive. Reactive means something is failed and you go and fix it. That's all about the reactive. Then next model is called proactive. Proactive is at least you know something is about to fail and you correct it. That's all about the proactive, right? After the artificial intelligence systems, we have come something called predictive. Predictive is you are that's where most of our automobiles. I mean, some of you have got cars at home, right? After 5,000 kilometers, suddenly it starts flashing a message saying that, hey, filter change is due and oil change is due. So that's all about the predictive. So it's all predictive, right? You are proactively taking a decision and predicting that you need to perform certain tasks. And the next one is called prescriptive. That is more like an advanced algorithm. Prescriptive is based on the decision. You are basically saying that, hey, this is what we need to do based on the wisdom. All of that. So you have a lot of sensors, and data is coming from various sources, Facebook, social media, and you collect all of the data. You do a conditioning, and then you feed into a system, and which in turn goes into, just now we discussed about the human machine partnership. I did mention, right? Before you send a challan or send a penalization notice to to a citizen, basically human interfaces and looks at it whether the system did any mistake in assessment. If it not, it basically approves. Same way in an infrastructure environment, when we are collecting some of the data, like example, I am part of the infrastructure services division. We manage the huge data center environment. All of you know, because of the technology maturity, we our data centers no longer look like a physical data centers. Most of them look a virtual. Whatever the operations we do most of them virtual. So when you are building in a virtual environment, which requires, let's say, 1,000 CPUs, and before you build the environment, the command which builds the 1,000 CPUs will come to the approver, and approver will review completely. They will not just blindly go ahead and execute because it costs a lot of money. That is where we are calling as a human machine partnership. Similarly, users, and you can also see in the down, you have CPUs, GPUs, TPUs. All of you are aware, right? We normally study only CPU, but after the NVIDIA, we have a concept called GPU. And that's where the NVIDIA became a number one, where they focuses the compute entirely in a graphic environment. Then you have a TPU, which is throughput environment, and then you have a modern computing, all of that. So this is basically a canonical architecture from an AI perspective, which gives the complete view end to end of the life cycle. And yeah, from an algorithms perspective, you have a different type of disciplines. You have the machine learning, deep learning, neural networks, all of that. We can just go keep going on. I mean, it is a large. We did discuss, all of them. Looking at the time, I don't know how much time I have. Uh, uh, So what I suggest is I also want you all to go through something this. I did download. I was thinking that I should give you guys walkthrough. This is basically our country's national strategy for AI. So this is available on a Google, on a public website. You all should go download this white paper. So this basically talks about the strategy as a country from an India perspective. What is our strategy for AI, and what is meant by AI? What are the priorities for AI, and in which industries we are trying to implement? And it basically talks about what is sense, when you sense, the computer vision, audio processing. All of you know, right? Modi made a visit to UN chamber of UN General Council. During that time, he did give a speech, but he gave a speech in Hindi. But there were the audience from almost 164 countries, and they all have their own language. But everybody was wearing some audio system, which was actually processing, doing a language processing. That's all about the backend technology, which is helping us to converse. And similarly, computer vision, and then the comprehend, natural language processing, we just discussed, knowledge representation, we just discussed, and machine learning and expert system, which will basically allow you to give you some data. So you should go through this. This is available on the public website, and this has got a tons of information. And this basically talks about end to end of the AI, and what is a strategy for India, and where India is investing, and which are the areas we think that there is upskilling is required, which are the areas where there is a lot of demand. So you all should go through this document. This is available. I will share the link with Uday if you want, but otherwise you guys can go to any of the Google search and just search for national strategy for AI, and you will be able to download. I did highlight few of the areas you can see, right? around 46% of the workforce will be engaged in entirely new jobs that do not exist today. And we need to be ready. And for that, there are some language like Python, R, and C++. Some of these object-oriented languages will be helpful. And I know all of us are studying electronics and communication engineering, but with the mere electronics and communication engineering, we will not be able to get employed. So what we need is, we need the underlying EC as a functional knowledge, but we also need to build one more layer and have some skills on Python or R or C++ or Java. These will help you to build a layer and make us to be unique, which I said in the beginning. And at the end of the day, we are in the rat race. We need to create a shining objects. So for that, we need to put some remarkable effort. That remarkable effect can only come when you put one more layer over and above the base what you guys are already working. So Uday, I don't know whether how much time we have, because I don't
Okay,
want you guys
already
to,
I think 8:30.
yeah. I don't want to overwhelm you guys. So yeah.
Okay, thank you so very much.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead, Uday.
Dhanush, or is there any question from audience? Dhanush?
Yes, sir. I'll take over. This is Graham here.
Ah.
Participants, does anyone have any questions? I suppose no one has any questions. Thank you, sir, for this fruitful session. Now it's time to express our gratitude. On behalf of Electronics and Communication Engineering, St. Joseph Institute of Technology, St. Joseph's Group of Institutions, I thank you, sir, for taking out time from your busy schedule and joining us to share your knowledge. I would like to thank our management for giving us this opportunity to organize this webinar. I thank our department heads and each one of our staff coordinators and everyone, including our organizing team, for arranging this webinar successfully. And finally, my sincere thanks to all the participants for your active participation and support. Thank you all.
Thank you everyone. Wish you all best of luck and great success, great career ahead. Uday, shall I sign off?
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It was very wonderful. Actually, time is very short. That is the reason why. So we are making less content.
Yeah. No, that's okay. Maybe next iteration we can get into much more deeper.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks everyone, team. Best of luck.